Hey, this is Buzz with episode number 19 of Airwaves, and in this episode I'll be unboxing and reviewing this. It's the Radioddity FS-T2 FRS radio, and it's next on Airwaves.
Buzz Stone's Airwaves.
Hey, this is Buzz with episode number 19 of Airwaves, and in this episode, as promised, I'll be doing an unboxing and a review of this radio. It's the Radioddity analog two-way radio, the FS-T2, which is an FRS radio. So we'll go ahead and open the box, see what's inside. Okay, we've got the FS-T2/PRT2 user manual, and I see that it's also in German, just like the Zygu G90 manual was. I believe the PRT2 is the European version of this radio. They have a service there, radio service similar to our FRS, but it does have different frequencies and not as many channels as the US version. But looking through that here, let's see, we've got this. It says Radioddity provides 1 year and 6 months warranty and 60 days no reason return. So that's good. But Chapter 1 initial setup. Chapter 3 basic operation. Your typical user manual here. So let's set that off to the side. Now let's see what we've got in here. Okay, the first item. This appears to be earphones with, I'm guessing, a built-in microphone as well. Here's, yeah, there's a push-to-talk button on there. So these are earphones and microphone combination. This is a USB charger, and here is the charging cable, which of course plugs into this. And I see there are two mini USB plugs on the end here, so these radios are chargeable by USB, and so one charger, two connections, so you can charge both radios with this cable, it appears to be. And of course, here we have the radio itself. And over here we have another one of the FRS radios, and looks like we've got two lanyards, one for each radio, and another set of earphones and microphone for the second radio. And then we've got these two clips that apparently clip onto the back of the radio. Oh, they screw on. I see there's a screw here that can be taken out. So looking at the radio itself, let's see if it's got a charge on it here. Yes, it does. Looks like it's about half charge on the radio. And we've got push to talk button here on the side. We've got an M button, so that would be monitor, so you can override the squelch. That button there looks like it says SML, but I'm not sure. And then we've got a jack here on the side for your headphone jack. Also, by the way, before I got this in the mail, I was reading online and I noticed that, and also, I actually downloaded the manual and looked through it, And one of the things that's really unique about these FRS radios, I think is pretty cool, is that they are programmable. There's a software program which I downloaded from the Radioddity website. You can program the frequencies in it, and this radio also, a very unique feature, has two power levels. One was a ½ watt and the other was 2 watts, which is unusual for an FRS radio. If I go into anything more here, it's going to be more about the review. So what I'll do in the second part of the video is I will review these radios in depth and give you an idea of how they perform. But I also noticed there's a USB port here on the back. That's where the charging port is. So it's the FS-T2 from Radioddity. And in the second part of this video, I'll be doing a review, so stand by. Okay, as we begin the review portion of this video, full disclosure, I did 2 videos just a couple weeks ago for my Xiegu G90HF SDR transceiver, which I purchased from Radioddity.com. And the folks at Radioddity saw those videos and liked them, so they contacted me and said, hey, we've got these new FRS radios. Would you like us to send them to you, and you can do an unboxing and review, and we'll gift those to you, which I said, sure, go ahead and send them. So these radios were given to me, but that's not going to keep me from giving you my honest impressions of the radio and the features on it. So beginning the review, one of the things I want to mention first of all is I noticed that it had 22 channels in it, and I remember, I haven't really used a FRS radio in a while, that the ones that had 22 channels, those were actually FRS and GMRS radio combos. What I did not know was that in 2017 the FCC amended their rules on FRS and GMRS, and they said those combo FRS GMRS radios with the 22 channels had been reclassified as FRS radios, which is what these are. And that this new class, you had 2 power levels, ½ watt and 2 watt, which is what this radio comes with. And depending on which frequency or channel you were using would depend on the power level. Well, I also mentioned to you that there's a software program. These radios are programmable, and those can be changed within the software, and I'll get to that here a little bit later on in the video. You might want to stick around because there's some interesting facts about these radios. Okay, another thing I noticed is the weather channel. These, in addition to having the FRS and GMRS frequencies, they also have the NOAA weather radio stations, and I've set them up to pick up my local weather station here, and that's all done through the menu here on the radio. And according to the directions, a short press of the monitor key, the M key here, should put it in weather mode, and a long press of the M key puts it in monitor, which overrides the squelch. And by the way, the squelch is set by default to a level of 3 out of 0 to 9 by the factory, but in the software you can change the squelch level, and that's the only place you can do that. But what I discovered is you have to actually go into the menu and turn on the NOAA weather function in order to get the weather station, which I've done. And it says a short press of this M key will turn on the NOAA weather radio, which I just did, and nothing has happened. Now also I learned that if you press the menu key 6 times, we'll see, okay, there it just came on. So that was a long time after I pressed the M key, but then it just went off. What I did notice is if you hold in the M key for a long period of time, then it will come on. Okay, so there's some confusion there about how that's actually operating, because according to the directions, a short press of the M should bring it on, which it did. See, it's coming on again by itself. So I'm going to get out of that mode. Okay. So that's, I don't know if that's a bug or what. I'm going to get in touch with Radioddity technical support and see if they can shed some more light on that. But it's not a big deal. I mean, it does work, but it doesn't work apparently the way the directions say that it should. Also, the other features on here is on the side there's a S/L. That's the scan lock button. If you just momentarily press the S, you probably can't see that on camera, but it's scanning through all the channels. And if you long press it, you'll, let me get that scan to stop first. If you long press it, it puts a little key on your screen. Now, when I got these radios, they were set up to beep every time you hit a button. I turned that off because I found that annoying. But if you like it, you can turn it on or leave it on because they come by default. The tone is on. Also, there's a Roger beep on transmission. You can turn that off or on. It is on, as you can hear. Also, the CTC, SS, and DCS frequencies, that's also accessed through the menu. Okay, and if you want to set those security codes up, you can for each channel. You can have a individual different code for each channel if you want. Again, that's another thing that you can set up through the programming software, which I would highly recommend. It makes it much easier to make all the adjustments to the radio. Okay, another thing about these radios I showed you before, there's a USB port here in the back. That's where you charge the radio, and I'll put a picture up there of what that looks like when they're in charge, being charged. And another interesting thing about this is if you remove the back of the radio, you'll see here the back of the radio is the actual battery, okay? And it says the capacity is 1500 milliamp hours, voltage of 3.7 volts. So really, when you open the back of the radio, all you're doing is removing the battery from the back of the radio. I guess maybe in the future you'll be able to possibly buy additional batteries. I'm not sure. So, you know, pretty much standard fare for FRS radios. The big exception, again, as I say, is in the programming software. So I'm going to move to that section now. I've opened the programming software, which I downloaded from the Radioddity website, and you'll see here that it's got this basically spreadsheet, which is, if you've programmed ham radios, a lot of them you've seen the software that comes, especially with the Chinese radios, something similar to this. And you see here in the left column, these are channels. Then we've got receive frequency, transmit frequency, then CTC, DCS encoder, and transmit power. Then over here on the right, squelch is set to level 3, and it looks like you can go from 0 to 9. The Vox function has 3 different levels, so apparently that's those are sensitivity to your voice. And of course, with this radio, it does have Vox, so you don't have to push the push to talk button if you have Vox activated. Simply your voice will activate the transmit function. There's Roger beep, beep, and clear tail. And then down here you'll see we have clear, which means if you had something in here and you wanted to get rid of it, hit this, it would clear that out. Then you have American and Europe, and that's because they also make the other model that I told you about earlier in the video for the European FRS system, which it's not called FRS, it has another name, it escapes me right now, but they have different frequencies and not the same amount of channels as the American FRS service. So if we click American, you see it automatically fills in all the columns. I spoke with tech support at Radioddity, and in the manual it says you need a programming cable, and that's all it tells you about programming. Well, they explained to me the reason for that is that the programming cable is not yet available to purchase.
although it is listed on their website. I believe it had a price of $6.99. But with that cable, you'll be able to connect to the radio and use this software program. And as you can see here, these columns are all editable. And if you go over here, you can switch between high and low. And of course, your tones over here, you can pick which ones you want to use for which frequency. And I'm curious, let's see, this last frequency is 462.725. Let's see what happens here if I try 462.73000. Let's see what it does. Aha! It took it. So, I think you can connect the dots and see what the possibilities are here. But they did inform me, Radioddity, that as soon as the programming cable was available, they're going to send it to me. And so when I get that, if I don't get it, I'm sure I won't get it before I finish editing this video. But what I'll do is I'll do a follow-up video on this part of the programming sequence and let you know exactly what is possible. Anyway, I wanted to give you a view of this program, and looks like there's definitely some interesting things that we can check out here in the future.
Okay, in conclusion, I want to mention, the programming software. You can only use that if you have the programming cable, which is not available at this time. And Radioddity said they will send me one as soon as they are available. So when that comes in, I'll be able to connect it to the radios and go through those things I showed you in the programming video. And these may be very versatile radios that pick up, are capable of picking up frequencies other than those designated for FRS and GMRS. Of course, if you do that, then they become, if you're using frequencies outside FRS, GMRS, then we're talking most likely ham frequencies, so you would need a amateur radio operator license in order to use those additional frequencies. Now, again, this is all speculation on my part at this point, but if it turns out to be true, then these could be some handy little radios to have. Now, the pair of these radios is $34.99. That's the price listed on the website, and I believe the programming cable was listed on there, although it's not available at this time. I believe it was $6.99. So, normally, as far as FRS radios, because I'm an amateur radio operator, I have handheld HTs, handy talkies, that will operate on the FRS and GMRS frequencies, plus the ham frequencies. And you can get the Baofeng type radios really cheap now, so you could have the FRS GMRS frequencies and amateur radio frequencies in a radio. And so of course you can't buy two of them for $35 as you would here. So again, if these could be modified, then it puts them kind of in a different league from ordinary FRS radios. So that pretty much wraps up my review. I think, if you're interested in an FRS/GMRS, or as they've been reassigned by the FCC as just FRS. By the way, we still have the GMRS radios that are dedicated to that. They have more power. They can have 5 watts. Plus they have the ability to use repeaters, which these type radios do not, because they do not have a different receive and transmit frequency, although in the programming software you saw where those can be changed. So again, more possibilities with that programming software. So again, these are the Radioddity, and I'll spell that out for you, and I'll put it in the description below, but it's Radioddity, so it's Radioddity.com, and these are their new FS-T2 FRS radios. So I'll throw all these in here in closing. You got your radios, you got your earbuds, you got your lanyards, and you have your charging cable. Okay, these are all the things that come in the kit, and you download the programming software from their website, and the programming cable should be available hopefully in the near future. So this has been episode number 19 of AirWaves. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you'll subscribe if you haven't already. Be sure to like and share the video, and I'll see you down the dial.